From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Amarachi Ubani.
Tonight, police arrest and hand over suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Chiari and 4 other officers to the NDLEA following a sting operation by the Anti-Drug Trafficking Agency. Academic activities in government-owned universities come to a halt as the lecturers begin one-month warning strike to demand improved working condition. Governors of the People's Democratic Party meet in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, urge the president to assent to the re-amended electoral bill without delay. And the UK government says invasion of Ukraine by Russia could be imminent, urges British citizens to leave the country immediately. Plus, other international news from our London studio.
On business news tonight, House of Representatives approved about 3 trillion naira as 2022 revenue target for the Nigeria Customs Service.
On sports news tonight, after a 2-month break, the UEFA Champions League returns with a 2021-22 round of 16 knockout games.
And from Abuja, following the hitches recorded in the just concluded FCT area council elections, civil society organizations ask INEC to address logistics and technology deployment ahead of future elections.
Call it the case of the hunter being hunted, and you may not be wrong, as the police have handed over the suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Chiari and 4 other officers to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA. They're accused of tampering with narcotic exhibits, official corruption and sundry unprofessional infractions. Following what appears as a sting operation, Mr. Chiari could be seen in a car in conversation with someone else over drugs. Here's a conversation as played by the NDLEA.
Educa is 25. But one is not a master. Soon 5. So soon as I test him. Kashi be now. Soon. Okay. Soon as I test him. Okay. Okay. I guess one of my daughters. Okay. As soon as I. So come to be in the Kada. So, junior. Then for any papa. Okay. There are 3 bags. So, but if they have you at there, they are there. I'm a total loss of 5 kg. I'm also on the position. It's one of my view. Had any. In the Suka Zora should move on. Exactly in the Aka recovery. That's one of taxi. Again, Okay, please. 10.
Earlier today, the NDLEA declared Mr. Chiari wanted over alleged links with drug trafficking. The spokesperson, Femi told journalists that Mr. Chiari was declared wanted after all efforts to get him to honor formal invitations for his interrogation failed.
With intelligence at our disposal, the agency believes strongly that DCP Chiari is a member of a drug cartel that operates the Brazil-Ethiopia-Nigeria illicit drug pipeline. And he needs to answer questions that crop up in an ongoing drug case in which he is the principal actor. His failure to cooperate forced the hand of the agency and is the reason for this press briefing. His team had intercepted and arrested some traffickers that came into the country from Ethiopia with, according to him, 25 kilograms of cocaine. He proposed a drug deal where he and his team are to take 15 kilograms of the cocaine and leave the 10 kilograms for the prosecution of the suspects arrested with the illicit drug in Enugu. In the meantime, the purloined cocaine, that is the depleted cocaine, will be replaced with a dummy worth 15 kilograms. He asked the NDLA officer to persuade men of the FCT command to play along as well. So we have a trove of intelligence, hard facts, from chats to photos and video, and a detailed transcript of the communication between him and the NDLA officer. Having failed to honor the official invitation, NDLA has no option but to declare DCP Abba Chiari of the Nigerian police wanted right from this very moment. I must say this publicly: we are not unaware of threats to the lives of NDLA officers involved in this investigation, even as we continue to do our best to protect our officers and men in the line of duty.
The Federal Bureau of Investigations into the activities of suspected Nigerian internet fraudster Raymond Abbas, popularly known as Hush Puppy, produced information about the involvement of Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Chiari in the case. Several weeks after the transfer of Hush Puppy to America, reports emerged that in the course of investigations by the FBI, DCP Abba Chiari was mentioned by the suspect as one of his accomplices. As a result of that disclosure, a federal court in America requested for the extradition of Abba Chiari to clear the allegations leveled against him. In June 2021, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Khalibaba, and the Public Service Commission then stepped in, first by ordering his suspension, and followed that up with an investigation into the case. Following the rejection of the early investigation report on the alleged involvement of suspended DCP Abba Chiari in the $1.1 million internet scam perpetrated by internet fraudster Hush Puppy, the Police Service Commission last week directed the force headquarters to constitute another panel of inquiry to investigate the FBI indictment allegations against the officer. With that new panel yet to begin work, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency declared Mr. Chiari wanted for his alleged involvement in a 25-kilogram cocaine deal, and a few hours later, he was handed over to the Anti-Narcotics Agency, along with 4 others. It is Valentine's Day today, but there seems to be no love lost between the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, which has now declared a 1-month warning strike to press home their demands over sundry issues. The president of ASU, Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke, announced the union's decision at a press conference today after the union's National Executive Council at the University of Lagos. Some of the ASU's demands that necessitated the industrial action include funding for revitalization of public universities, earned academic allowance, improved funding of state universities, and promotion arrears. The union's latest action will yet again disrupt academic activities in tertiary institutions across the country.
The patience of our members have been tasked beyond tolerable limit. NEC therefore resolved to embark on a 4-week rollover total and comprehensive strike beginning from Monday, 14th February 2020, which is today.
This sort of announcement is one that students of higher education institutions, their parents or guardians never wish to hear. Another round of strike which may snowball into an indefinite industrial action that will cripple learning activities in Nigerian public universities if the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, and the federal government do not come to actionable agreements.
The government has failed to fully implement the memorandum of action signed with the Academic Staff Union of University on 23 December 2013. Payment of ASU member salary and emolument with integrated payroll and personnel management information system IPs, and non-adoption of the University Transparency Academic Solution have continued to shortchange our members.
While ASU and the federal government slug it out, with the union state chapters gearing up for full compliance to the 4-week total and comprehensive strike, students in public universities in the southwest to the southeast, south-south to the northern region who are holding the short end of the stick in this face-off bear their minds.
Our parents are there counting years you are going to school while you spend up to 19 years in school.
I finished secondary school in 2007. I spent 9 years at home before I finally gained admission. Time is going.
We're supposed to be graduating in 2 weeks' time. Our exam's supposed to start today. I have exam by 3 p.m. That's why I'm in school currently. But the ASU members on meeting currently saying that all exams that have not been written from 8 till 12 will not be written again.
Honestly, I'm indifferent because they need to listen to these people. They need to listen to them. They are human beings. They need money.
Each side are claiming to be on the right path. And what I want the federal government now to consider is that, when 2 elephants are fighting, actually, it's the grass that suffer.
Protracted industrial actions are not alien to Nigerian tertiary institutions. But this is one strike that many believe should come to an end soon, with quick and lasting resolution of the issues. Yomi Otaibi, Channels Television News.
In part 2 after the break, PDP governors urged the president to assent to the re-amended electoral bill without delay at their meeting in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. Do join us again. Welcome back. If it is jaundice to watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Police arrest and hand over suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Chiari and 4 other police officers to the NDLEA after being declared wanted for alleged drug trafficking. Academic activities in government-owned universities come to a halt as the lecturers begin 1-month warning strike to demand improved working conditions. Governors of the People's Democratic Party meet in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, urge the president to assent to the re-amended electoral bill without delay. And the UK government says invasion of Ukraine by Russia could be imminent, urges British citizens to leave the country immediately. politics, the PDP Governors Forum is asking the President to immediately sign the Electoral Act Amendment Bill into law. The governors made this demand today during the regular meeting at the Bayelsa State Government House, Yenagoa. The meeting reviewed the state of the nation and noted the delay in signing the bill is yet another sign of unwillingness by the President to give Nigeria a reformed electoral framework.
The PDP governors urged Mr. President to immediately sign the Electoral Act Amendment Bill into law. Waiting to run out the 30 days is yet another sign of unwillingness by Mr. President to give Nigeria a reformed electoral framework. If there are still misgivings on any aspect of the bill amendments that may be introduced at a later date. 2. The governors congratulated the PDP for winning 43 out of the 62 available councillorship positions in the Abuja Area Council election results. In spite of improvements in the conduct of elections, the Gwagwalada and Abuja Area Council results show that manipulations are still possible. They urge INEC to tighten all observed loopholes and further improve on the functioning of the BVAS machine for future elections. The governors expressed their displeasure on the issue of contaminated fuel supplied to Nigerians and urged government to bring the perpetrators to account.
Let's get more stories now from our Abuja studio. Here's Linda Akigbe. Hi, Linda. Great to see you.
Hello, Amarachi. Good to see you too. Now, staying with politics, a coalition of civil society organizations in Abuja is asking the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to urgently undertake an audit of the BVAS machines and ensure all technological glitches within the devices are resolved ahead of the Ekiti and Osun governorship elections. The election observer groups made the call at 2 separate news conferences on the outcome of the just concluded area council elections in the Federal Capital Territory.
Heads of some accredited election observers who monitored the just concluded area council's election in the Federal Capital Territory briefed journalists about their findings. Featuring prominently in their report are challenges including poor logistics management and the glitches recorded with the BVAS machines. The group wants the Commission to address these ahead of future elections.
We urge INEC to undertake an audit of the BVAS and ensure all the technological glitches with the devices are resolved ahead of Ekiti or Osun off-cycle elections to prevent possible disenfranchisement of voters, but also inspire public confidence in the technologies that INEC is deploying. To avert possible voter enfranchisement in subsequent elections, INEC should synchronize all its registration or voter registration information with the newly created polling units on its offline and online databases.
In a similar vein, the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room presents its report faulting the Independent National Electoral Commission over poor logistics management and poor voters' education. The group also used the opportunity to call on the President, Muhammadu Buhari, to assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill to build on the gains already made in election management.
Situation Room calls on INEC to carry out extensive voter education to raise awareness on the new polling units created in its expansion access to polling units. Situation Room is especially calling on President Muhammadu Buhari to assent to the electoral bill to raise the standard of elections in Nigeria, improve electoral process, and prevent further excuses.
The just concluded area council's election in the Federal Capital Territory is one major off-season election, which many political watchers say provides an opportunity for INEC to perfect its preparations for the 2023 general elections.
In other stories, a strategic roadmap to address the humanitarian challenges as well as disaster management in the country has now been launched by the federal government. Presenting the roadmap in Abuja, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Mrs. Sadiya Umar Farouk, states that the 5-year plan has 7 focal points.
The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is mandated to provide effective coordination of all humanitarian interventions. To effectively execute the presidential mandate, the ministry developed a roadmap tagged Mapping Out a Life of Dignity for All. The roadmap is expected to guide the ministry's operations to achieve this mandate.
We have provided detailed information on each of the strategic pillars, providing the background and objective, highlighting the key action plans, and identifying the key stakeholders. Your Excellency, the roadmap has also clearly demonstrated the activities that must be carried out under the planning, implementation, coordination, monitoring, and evaluation phases of each strategy. Our stakeholders have been carefully mapped out and grouped into clusters, and the interweaving relationship between the clusters have been clearly delineated in this roadmap.
Taking measures through our armed forces, security services, and the law enforcement agencies to address the security situation and restore peace to our communities. It is clear that humanitarian interventions must proceed on a parallel track to ensure that volatile areas are restored to a sustainable peace.
The roadmap is a product of wide consultation and cohesive analysis, as the United Arab Emirates has now committed $2 million to support visually impaired persons in the northern part of the country.
We have also worked in the north of Nigeria to support those who have visual impairments through our Noor Dubai Foundation, a $2 million program which has been implemented over the past 3 years and is planned to be continued in Katsina State and the surrounding states.
As the strategic roadmap is officially launched, the ministry notes that the most critical aspect of the plan is in the implementation as it seeks to achieve the presidential mandate.
To legal matters, the case of 5-year-old Hanifa Abubakar, who was allegedly killed by her school proprietor Abdul Malik Tanko, today took a new twist at a hearing in the High Court in Kano. Mr. Tanko, who had earlier confessed to the kidnapping, killing of his pupil and demanding a ransom of 2 million naira when he was paraded by the police, has denied all 4 charges and agreed to only one: conspiracy to commit kidnapping. The 3 defendants were represented by a counsel from Legal Aid Labaran Usman. However, Kano State Attorney General Abdullahi Lawan is hopeful that the evidence already gathered will bring about justice in the case. As part of the impeachment proceedings against the Zamfara State Deputy Governor Mahdi Aliyu Gusau, the Chief Judge of the state, Justice Kulu Aliyu, has inaugurated a 7-member investigative panel to investigate the allegations of gross misconduct against the state's Deputy Governor. Justice Kulu Aliyu, however, did not give a time frame to the panel within which they expected to complete the assignment and submit their report. 18 members of the Zamfara State House of Assembly had, during their extraordinary plenary session last Thursday, unanimously resolved to direct the Chief Judge of the state, Justice Kulu Aliyu, to constitute an investigative panel against the Deputy Governor Mahdi Aliyu Gusau.
The constitutional provisions are very clear. The use of the word shall in section 188 subsection 5 imposes a duty on me as the Honorable Chief Judge of Zamfara State to appoint a panel of certain persons who are of unquestionable integrity, not being members of any public service, legislative houses or political party. I have, therefore, after careful consideration of your track records as persons of proven integrity, appointed you for this arduous task, believing that you will discharge your duty without fear or favor, affection or ill will, in accordance with the oaths you have just taken, based on your individual capacity and collective responsibilities. I'm sure you will discharge this assignment in accordance with the constitutional provisions.
And still ahead on the news at 10, the House of Representatives approves about 3 trillion naira as 2022 revenue target for the Nigeria Customs Service. That's on Business News. Join us again.
Welcome back. The trial of a 300-level mass communication student of the University of Lagos, Chidinma Ojukwu, who is suspected to have killed the chief executive officer of Super TV, Usifo Taga, continued today at the Lagos High Court sitting in Tafawa Balewa Square. A co-founder of Super Network Limited, owners of Super TV, Mr. Raymond Obiora Saliu, took to the witness box to testify that there was a total of 7 multiple stabs on Ataga's neck. Saliu, who broke down in tears while testifying before Justice Yetunde Adesoya, said apart from the 7 multiple stabs on Ataga's neck, there was 1 to the stomach, stabs on the 2 sides of Ataga's ribs and the left ventricle. Led in evidence by the Deputy Director of Public Prosecution, Mrs. Adenike Oluwafemi, Saliu testified that Ataga was tied up with both hands and legs like a ram, waiting to be slaughtered. Saliu, a network engineer, programmer and a developer, testified as the 5th prosecution witness in the case. Bethel Nursery and Primary School, Ileife, Excellent Nursery and Primary School, Akure, as well as Infinity International School, Abeokuta, have been presented cash prizes for emerging top at the 2021 Cadbury Born Factor School Talent Competition. The Managing Director of Cadbury West Africa, Yimika Adeboye, who presented the cash prizes, says the Born Factor competition is part of Born Vita's contribution towards developing the creative ability of school children in the country.
The corporate headquarters of Cadbury Nigeria PLC plays host to winners of the 2021 The Born Factor School Talent Competition, an initiative of the Born Vita brand. A cash prize of 3 million naira is presented to Bethel Nursery and Primary School, Ileife, for emerging overall best in the competition, while Excellent Nursery and Primary School, Akure, and Infinity International School, Abeokuta, got 2 million naira and 1 million naira respectively.
This will be channeled through school development projects suggested by the schools themselves. The whole idea is to ensure that each of the school benefits not just the students, but also the school itself and the communities around them.
It's the 3rd edition of the Born Factor Talent School Competition, and the result has been encouraging, according to the Managing Director of Cadbury West Africa.
When we did the first one, a lot of students and schools were not sure what it was all about. But having given the award for the first one, having recognized the massive talents that we had in the first session, we've had a lot of entries. Second run, we were 52% higher than the first one. Third one running, over 100% higher. Number of schools that entered, number of children that entered this competition. It's been fantastic.
Participating schools are usually put through a well-organized process that is meant to challenge the creative ability of the school children.
We ask them to come up with any performance that they decide. It could be reading, it could be drama skits, it could be music performance, it could be a dance performance, it could be anything, any talent where they can showcase the unique greatness in every child. We also request that every of the top 5 schools nominate an orphanage home, because what we also want to do is to imbibe the giving culture into the minds of the kids.
It's no mean feat for these winners who are glad they participated in the event.
I'm happy, I'm very happy today.
What we instill into the life of these children, they will execute tomorrow, so I really appreciate them. Thank you.
I'm proud of the pupils as well.
With the 2022 edition set to roll, Cadbury Born Vita says it will continue to provide consumers the strength to dream.
Let's get some business stories now. Here's Anne Wawodo.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Amarachi. Hello and welcome to Business News. The House of Representatives Committee on Customs and Excise has approved 3.01 trillion naira as 2022 revenue target for the Nigeria Customs Service. The approval is coming after the budget defense session of Customs, even as the committee stated its resolve to change the budget cycle of the agency. The committee also approved 369 billion naira as the 2022 budget for the service.
We want to change the budget cycle of the Nigeria Customs to fall in line with national budget. On this note, the Nigeria Customs budget should be ready for mid-November so that we shall work on it and pass it every December before embarking on our Christmas and New Year break. If you notice, it is only Nigeria Customs Service budget that suffers delay into first quarter and even sometimes into second quarter. We want to discourage this trend so that you can perform in the area of capital projects. We equally want to suggest that the CGC and its management team, especially the department saddled with the responsibility of executing the capital project, to implement the capital project in phases. Whatever you collect as your 7% collection and 60% of the 1% CISS meant for the capital project for the year under review should be used.
The Nigerian insurance industry has recorded a modest growth in 2021 amid the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. According to data from the National Insurance Commission, NICOM, the industry recorded a total gross premium income of over 630 billion naira in the year 2021. This amount is higher than 514 billion naira, which was recorded in the same period in 2020. At the same time, the industry settled net claims amounting to 238.083 billion naira, while total assets increased to about 2.14 trillion naira in the same period under review. Economic think tank, the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, has asked the Central Bank of Nigeria to review the current pricing regime in the importers and exporters window of the Nigerian foreign exchange market in order to achieve meaningful result of its recently launched race to $200 billion export program. While commending the CBN's efforts at strengthening forex supply in the country, the Chief Executive Officer of the CPPE, Mr. Muda Yusuf, explains that the current forex pricing regime is a major obstacle to this initiative. According to them, the exporters are currently not encouraged to remit exports proceeds at the current official rate of 416 naira to a dollar. Mr. Yusuf notes that a much deeper and robust I&E window should be in place before the CBN can contemplate a termination of its forex market intervention. Well, let's head to Nigeria's stock market now. It started the first trading day of the week in negative territory. Sell pressure is still going on some large and mid stocks, while the all-share index went down further by 0.29%. Inijon Mekwa has the details.
Oh, thank you so much. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. That's right, the bear is spending the Valentine on the floor of the NGX, even though the market gained marginally at intraday. Further profit taking seems to be threatening the 47,000 level. A green activity chart could not save the market from the 75 billion naira that was shaved off the total value at the close of trade. Now let's look at the sectors. Now major sectors were on the flip side. Oil and gas, for instance, it lost 0.24%. O&O was a major contributor after activities involved more than 1 million in volume, valued at over 5 million naira, leading to 8 copper loss from its share price. Boer Foods seems to also be in the downward trend. It ended 1.46% down, but thanks to Guinness, countered that effect it gained 10%. And Guinness seems to be gaining grounds on its gain circle that started since last week. So the consumer foods counter closed in the green at the end of trading. However, Airtel on the premium board shed 1.65%. And we know that Airtel is a major determinant in the market. So that's why the market ended in the red today. But don't forget that earnings season is still on. We have our eyes on that, and maybe that will pull the market up. That's the stock market report. I'm Ini John Mekwa.
Thank you, Ini. Well, as for major equities, for example, in Europe and the US, are traded lower in today's session. Investors are still evaluating concerns about the Federal Reserve's plan for interest rate hikes and tensions between Russia and Ukraine. But let's check out the closing numbers for today. Now those red figures, we come to the end of business news. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. It's back to you, Marachi.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Things are developing fast in the Baltic as Western countries say Russia could invade Ukraine this week. However, leaders of the UK and the United States agree there is still a crucial window for diplomacy and for Russia to step back from its threats towards Ukraine, and the US relocates its embassy from the capital, Kiev. This comes hours after the UK's Foreign Secretary Liz Truss says Russia could launch an invasion of Ukraine almost immediately, and that Russian oligarchs and companies would be targeted with severe sanctions if Moscow does invade. Simon Pusey has more in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Ukraine has called for a meeting with Russia and other members of a key European security group over the escalating tensions on its border. Ukraine's foreign minister said Russia had ignored a formal request to explain the buildup of troops. He said the next step was requesting a meeting within the next 48 hours for transparency about Russia's plans. Russia has denied any plans to invade Ukraine despite the buildup of some 100,000 soldiers on its borders. But with the US saying Moscow could begin with aerial bombardments at any time, more than a dozen nations have urged their citizens to leave Ukraine. A state in southern India has reopened some schools that had been closed following protests last week over female students not being allowed to wear hijabs or head-to-toe burqas in class. Police stood guard as students in pink uniforms, about a dozen wearing hijabs, entered a government girls' school where the issue first flared in Karnataka State's district. The issue, widely seen by India's Muslim minority community as a bid to sideline it by authorities in a Hindu-dominant nation, comes as Prime Minister Narendra Modi's party prepares for elections in key states. Authorities have banned gatherings of more than 5 people within 200 metres of educational institutions in the area. Hundreds of people protesting against New Zealand's vaccination mandates have entered their 7th day, ignoring repeated calls by the police to leave. Claiming inspiration from the truckers' anti-vaccine mandate demonstrations in Canada, the protests started as a stand against vaccine mandates, but have now been joined by groups calling for an end to COVID-19 restrictions, rejecting the vaccinations.
I've said previously, I very clearly have a view on the protest and the way that they've conducted their protest, because it's moved beyond sharing a view to intimidation and harassment of the people around central Wellington. That cannot be tolerated, and pleased to be advised from police that they're taking steps to address that, but ultimately the management of the protest is for the police.
Sport's highest court has cleared a 15-year-old Russian figure skater Kamila Valieva to compete in her next Olympic event. But the teenager's doping charge that has rocked the Beijing Games remains unresolved. The Court of Arbitration for Sport said that it had upheld an earlier decision by the Russian anti-doping agency to lift the ban. The skating prodigy took to the Beijing ice half an hour after the CAS ruling. The Mauritian flag has been raised for the very first time on the Chagos Islands in the Indian Ocean. The Mauritian ambassador to the United Nations led a ceremony on the island of Peros Banos, where a pre-recorded message from the Mauritian Prime Minister was played through a loudspeaker. Another flag was raised on the island of Solomon. The islands are controlled by Britain but claimed by Mauritius. Rapper Kodak Black is in a stable condition after being shot in the leg, according to his lawyer. The rapper, whose real name is Bill K. Capri, was among 4 people shot in the early hours in West Hollywood. His lawyer posted a statement on Instagram saying there was an unprovoked attack on an individual Kodak was with. He added several shots were fired at them, but that Kodak will make a full recovery. Super Bowl celebrations in the city of Los Angeles turned chaotic as fans flooded downtown streets, committing vandalism, looting and lighting fireworks in the middle of traffic. Video on social media also showed several members of the crowd looting various stores on some intersections. LAPD police officers did eventually move in to disperse the crowds. And finally, over 40 couples have spiced up their Valentine's Day by tying the knot atop elephants in Thailand's Chonburi province. Couples kick-started the marriage event while riding their respective elephants as they joined the parade procession, featuring a full-blown music band performance and young elephants dancing to the beat. Thailand received a record of nearly 40 million foreign visitors in 2019, more than a quarter of those from China. But total arrivals have slumped to about 0.5% of that last year, due to weaker external demand and tight quarantine and entry requirements. It's hoped that things like the Valentine's Day elephant procession will help the struggling tourist industry come back to life. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.
Thanks a lot, Simon. Time for sports news. Here's Ayotunde Balogun.
Many thanks, Marachi. 13 Nigerians have been honored at the second edition of the Sportsville Special Recognition Awards for their contributions to the development of sports in Nigeria and beyond. At the event held in Lagos, Chairman, Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, received an Icon Award for his CSR initiative, the Channels International Kids Cup, alongside 2 other prominent Nigerians, Dr. Sonny Ojegbese, a founder of Complete Communication, Dr. Danladi Bako, a renowned broadcaster and former DG of the Nigeria Broadcasting Commission.
Straight to what's next on our agenda.
The second Sportsville Special Recognition Awards brings together the big wigs in the sports industry. This includes the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Dare, the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shaibu, sports icons and administrators, and the media. This year, former Green Eagles captain Shego Degbami, former The Tigers captain Olumide Oyedeji, the first Vice President of the NFF, Sheyi Akinwumi, among others, are recipients. The Icon Awards was received by Dr. Sonny Ojegbase, Dr. Danladi Bako, and Dr. John Momo, who has immensely contributed to the discovery of young talents through the Channels International Kids Cup initiative.
Presenting the Icon Awards is Ambassador Fanny Amu and Mr. Francis Obi, to Mr. Patrick Obuse, who is the representative of Mr. John Momo. Congratulations to you.
The Channels Kids Cup does indeed help fish out new, but besides that, it also is a way of fostering camaraderie, friendly competition, and most importantly, it also allows some of these children that may not have the opportunity to travel and interact and mix with other people, be able to do that through the auspices of the competition.
The sports minister was not left out as he received the Innovative Award.
I want to say that what we've done for Nigerian sports development is not about narratives. It's about changing the fundamentals of our sports development. We've sown that seed. We're building in a sustainable model in the next several months.
I want to say that we're excited about this award because the idea is to celebrate those who have been supporting Nigerian sports by way of their individual or collective contribution. So when we started last year, it was just an idea, but you can see that it's now getting bigger and bigger. So to that extent, I'm very excited, I'm happy, and not just the brand for Sportsville, but Nigerian sports.
The award is no doubt a source of motivation to all recipients who had done wonderfully in sports development, and a call to others that if one does well, the efforts will not go unnoticed.
As the UEFA Champions League returns with the round of 16 clash, Brazil's Neymar could play his first game for PSG since November when they faced Real Madrid in the first leg of their tie on Tuesday night. The French club revealed on the eve of the tie that former Real Madrid defender Sergio Ramos is the only player missing due to injury as he continues to struggle with a calf problem. Neymar, meanwhile, has been back in training and could feature for the first time since suffering an ankle injury in a league game against Saint-Etienne on November the 28th. Man City FC manager Pep Guardiola says the squad will treat their Champions League knockout tie against Sporting Lisbon just like any other fixture despite the disappointment of a runners-up finish in last season's tournament. Guardiola has led City to 3 league titles since taking over in 2016, though they are yet to win the Champions League, coming closest after reaching the final in June last year, in which they were beaten by Chelsea. FIFA has ordered Brazil and Argentina to replay a World Cup qualifying match halted in Sao Paulo in September last year over alleged COVID-19 quarantine breaches by the visitors. Brazilian health officials stormed the pitch 7 minutes into the clash on September the 5th between the South American giants, stopping the game and triggering a melee involving team officials and players. And that's a wrap in sports news. I'm Ayotunde. Balukins back to you.
Thanks, Ayotunde. And the main news again. Police today arrested and handed over suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Chiari and 4 other officers to the NDLEA after being declared wanted for alleged drug trafficking. They were accused of tampering with narcotic exhibits, official corruption, and sundry unprofessional infractions. Also today, academic activities in government-owned universities came to a halt as the lecturers began a 1-month warning strike to demand improved working conditions. And the UK government today said invasion of Ukraine by Russia would be imminent, urging British citizens to leave the country immediately, as Prime Minister Boris Johnson and US President Joe Biden expressed optimism of a possible diplomatic solution to the crisis. That is the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. From all of us here, it's good night.